Well, hello, everybody. It is Friday, September 5th already. My goodness. And it is time for Boss Rush. That's right. My name is Chris Melasinos. I'm the principal evangelist for video games here at AWS. And unfortunately, Dean Takahashi is not able to join us. He's covering the Roblox event that's going on. But I'm pleased to have with me my co-hosts. First co-host to this side of me over here.
Oh, that's me.
Oh,
okay. Hey,
you.
I'll be professional since we have esteemed guests. I'm Susan Cummings. I'm the CEO of 106 Games, a new startup in the UK. And I'm excited that I've been back here a lot. I was missing a lot of episodes, so it's fun to be back here.
Oh, and look, we're also happy that you're back. And who else do we have with us?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Mark Delora.
Wait, Mark, you can need to pick up that webcam, buddy.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. You know what? You just keep going and introducing yourself. I'm going to go ahead and pop on some gain control. There he is.
Gain control. Oh, I should yell.
Yeah, no, you don't need to yell now. Please don't do that. Blow out everybody's ears, damn it. What is wrong with you?
I'm not a good yeller anyway.
And you are?
Hey, I'm Mark Delora. I'm what am I now? I'm now an exec director at GDC for innovation, and also continuing my work on learning games as usual. Nice to be here. Lovely to see our guests.
I know. So we are thrilled to have our guests join us today. So we had Shawn Layden, former executive at PlayStation, who joined us last week. Generous, amount of time that he spent with us. And in the course of that discussion, we discovered that a peer of his in another company, Mr. Ed Fries, the two of them had never met. And so while we were live there, Susan went and reached out to Ed and said, can you come and join us here? And he said, sure. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring these two titans of industry into the show here. And we have with us, look who it is. It's Mr. Ed Fries and Mr. Shawn Layden. Oh, my goodness gracious. First time they're getting to meet each other here. I'm so freaking excited that we get to do this.
It's like matter and antimatter are coming together.
I should have separated them on the screen more.
That's right. Well, in anticipation of this, and as I explained to the crew here before we went live, I'd been traveling all morning since about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to get all the way back up in the studio. So I didn't have time to prepare everything, but I did get one of these. Look at that. I made sure that we had that there because, that was when we played that last week. Sean was like, that takes me back. But of course, I couldn't do that without also. OG Xbox startup for our
startup screen.
I can see it in my head.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So, does everyone like that? Oh, they all do. Listen to that applause. It's
we let these fine gentlemen introduce themselves.
Yes. Well, I kind of did a little bit of that, but absolutely, let's have them tell us about their background and what they're working on. So first, Shawn, again.
Oh, okay, again. Hello, everybody. Good to have seen you last week, and now I'm darkening your doorway or your computer one more time on Friday morning. Just goes to show Shawn's got nothing going on Friday mornings in his life. But I'm glad to be here. I'm Shawn Layden. I was with Sony for a long time. I made some games like God of War and Gran Turismo and Uncharted and stuff like that. I've been out of the business for about 4 or 5 years, but trying to stay involved and engaged because I think this is a really critical time in our industry, frankly, and I'm sure we'll talk a bit about that in the pod today. But I'm glad to be here. I think there's a lot of things to go over, and I'm delighted to meet Ed for the first time. My brother from a different platform.
That's right.
And,
the man, the myth, the legend.
That's right. Ed, please. Who the hell are you and why are you here?
No, it's great to be here this morning. I'm sorry we hadn't met before, Shawn. I don't know how that happened. The industry's not that big, but the other three of these characters I have known for a long, long time. And we're all very close. I started in the game industry as a kid writing games for the Atari 800, and I'm an old school programmer. Game industry melted down, and the company I worked for went out of business when I was in college, and so had to get a real job and went to work at Microsoft. And Was there almost 20 years. Worked on the first versions of Excel and then Word, and then got to do what I really wanted, which was get back into the game business and grow Microsoft's game business, launch the Xbox. And, these days, I run a venture fund called One Up Ventures, and we invest in little game companies all over the world. We've made about 80 investments over the last 6 years, and I do that with my partners Kelly Wallach and Emily Greer. And so we have a big retreat coming up in England next week, so I'm going to get on a plane tonight and fly over, be near Susan. So
Yay!
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful. And yeah, and so I had gotten to know Ed. And actually, Ed, one of the reasons that the conversation came up was we were, talking, reminiscing about our past and everything. And I said, oh, I remember the night that I met Ed years ago at a dinner that was arranged by Allison Kelly. And we were sat next to each other, and I was like, oh my goodness, I got to talk to him now about Java games. And you were like, oh, I know what you're doing there, but that's okay. I'll still code to the metal, but you keep going. And I was like, that's fantastic. And so I've had the good fortune to get to know Ed. And
you were at Sun. That's right. You were the
I know,
chief game officer at
a long
Sun.
time ago. A long time
and
ago.
we got to collaborate on some fun stuff like the Smithsonian stuff that I'm still involved with. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Awesome. So Ed, I think you still sit on the advisory board for the Smithsonian American Art Museum. And one of the pieces of work that you had done, which was Halo 2600, a complete demake. And I remember when we first saw that, which has E3 in the hotel of the Marriott there, and you were like, check this out. And I was like, what are you doing? Between that and Rally X that you did. Rally X, which is one of my favorite arcade games of all time, in the 2600. And we were able to actually get that demake added to the permanent archive at the Smithsonian. So,
which is crazy. Yeah,
that's awesome. But yeah, so we got everybody together. Hooray, hooray. All right, so where do we want to start?
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
Are the internet reports true, Ed, that you made my favorite screensaver?
If it's a fish screensaver.
Yes, it's a fish screensaver.
I didn't do that. That's a whole nother story. I had a whole fish part of my life. Maybe even these guys don't know, but
I did not.
Oh, you got to tell us.
I kind of invented the first fish screensaver. Yeah.
What?
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now I need a fish screensaver.
I was actually just telling that story to somebody else earlier this week. But yeah.
Okay, so first when I thought fish, I thought the band. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? But then what you're really talking about is swimming fish.
Right.
Exactly. Now, this was prior to After Dark, right? Or around the same time?
I actually wrote the fish screensaver that is in After Dark, but they had me do it. They asked me to do it kind of to be nice to me, because my fish screensaver had been around for years before After Dark, and so they, instead of just ripping me off, they were like, "Do you want to do ours?" I'm sure. So. It started when I was an intern at Microsoft in '85, and it's kind of a whole long story. But I basically made a character version for first ASCII fish that swim on the screen. I'll have to show that to you sometime.
I got to see that.
ASCII fish?
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And in some ways, it's my favorite version. But anyway, these fish would move, and they'd spit out like little O's and as bubbles, and they would go to the top, and there was parentheses on the bottom making weeds and stuff. Anyway,
wow.
And then
that somewhere.
And then when I went to when I joined Microsoft full time the next year to work on Excel, I needed to learn Windows, and so I made a Windows version. And I ran into this guy, Tom Saxon, and we made a Macintosh version. And anyway, so we did. So I was like, if you had met me at that time, so like late 80s, my office at work was filled with fish stuff. Like people would they just like, it's like if somebody learns that you're into something, and then everyone will start to like give you, you like owls, and I was on a trip, I saw an owl. So pretty soon my office is like full of fish. At some point, when I went to run the games group, I'm like, no more fish. I just like got rid of all that. And that part of my life is over now.
Somebody
It's
said
absolutely.
to me,
Doctor Who game.
Oh, go ahead, Susan. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, when we worked on the Doctor Who games, that's all anyone would get us anymore for birthdays, Christmas, etc. was Doctor Who crap.
Exactly.
Like,
at some point, you have to just like cut it off.
Why?
Mike, all right. So listen, we normally go ahead and cover game news, which we are going to do. But since we have
is
this
some
incredibly
week.
special occasion here. Would love to just ask a couple of questions of both of our guests, Shawn and Ed here. So, look, at the time that you were all building those platforms and really the rise of not console wars and all that other stuff that's been covered ad infinitum, right? But what we're talking about is the platforms, respective platforms that you're working on simultaneously really drove not only the adoption in a more broader sense of games, but also kind of paved the path forward for online gameplay, what storefronts look like, how we're going to move into digital. So without revealing stuff that you can't reveal or don't want to, when you were sitting there looking across, the industry at each other's efforts, was there a particular thing that either of you saw in the other you said, oh, I wish we had done that first?
Well, I wish we had gotten to market. I wish we'd gotten to market before the 360. That's for sure. I wish we'd done that first. Giving them a year head start was not a strategic advantage. No.
that was, by the way, my boss Robbie. That Robbie Bach. That was his plan. He was like, we have to be there first this time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, maybe one story. I knew people at Sony and I knew people at Nintendo. We all felt like we were kind of part of the game industry. And so probably behind the scenes, probably a lot more friendly than people realize. Yeah. But I do remember talking to Perrin Kaplan one day. I had seen a prototype controller that our guys were playing around with, and it was this weird controller that would split into two, and you could hold each part in one hand. And I mentioned that to her. This was before Switch came out, and she goes, "Oh, interesting." and it wasn't that she got the idea from me, but it was like, does he know what we're doing?
Well, hey, Ed, surprise! Let's welcome Perrin Kaplan. Yay!
That'd be hilarious.
I would love to have Perrin.
Oh, we're gonna have her
an
on.
old friend, and I saw her last week. It was kind of games week.
This is your life. Yeah.
It was kind of games week in Seattle last week.
It was.
I know.
We should make that official next year.
We
get the city to make it Seattle Games Week.
We had
Slice
this really
PAX.
cool. We had Slice for the first time.
Yeah.
Seattle Loves Indie Creator Expo. I got it. And then the next day we had Games Beat, and then that rolled right into PAX.
And then the mix was during PAX, which was pretty awesome.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Thanks everybody for standing that all up there in the furthest point away from me in the U.S. It's fantastic.
Hey, we can have our week. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are two things that that each of you kind of saw and said, I wish we had gone ahead first, or Ed, as you were talking about with the controllers. Is there a particular game that you love most or really have very fond memories on the others' platforms that you played during that era?
I gotta admit, I played a lot of Halo. Because you do. Everyone did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no prep for this, by the way, for everybody watching. So they are having to stumble through these moments.
I remember all the arguments that you couldn't do a first-person shooter on a console, and then Halo came out, and we're like, "Oh,
okay." Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we started the Xbox project, I was working with the Twisted Metal guys to bring their game to PC. Single track.
Yeah, single track.
And so we actually worked with them a fair amount. So, so that would be one, for example, for me.
Yeah, and Sweet Tooth.
And then I'll tell one other one real quick that isn't quite the same, but I knew the EverQuest guys really well, and when they were developing that game, and they were worried. They were a weird part of Sony. They were kind of part of Sony Music or something.
Yeah,
no, they're part of Sony Pictures.
So we
Pictures. Sorry, Sony Pictures. Yeah, and so we actually came close to publishing that game. I don't know if Shawn may remember that. Kind of at the last minute, Sony kind of said, no, I don't think we want Microsoft to do that. This is before Xbox.
Well, there was this strange sort of a religious thing in the theocracy of PlayStation, where the San Diego team building all these different games we're working on, Then they did a game called, I think it was called Tantarus, which was a tank shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like a Skunkworks thing they worked on, and it came together. It looked really interesting. Our first kind of online, playable sort of thing. Then they went on to make EverQuest, and Kuzagi-san, excuse me, for better or for worse, he felt that we are a console company, and we can't get in the business of publishing PC games. That's just not what we do. We're, 24-hour PlayStation Network, 100% all the time. So they carved out the EverQuest team, created Sony Online Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
That became part of what was called at the time Sony Pictures Digital Entertainment.
Oh
Speedy.
my goodness, yeah.
And of course, John Smedley and his team there.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was John and Russ.
Kelly Flock and
Kelly Flock, yeah.
Well, Kelly was part of the sports Sony.
Yeah.
but
Kelly
then he
stayed
moved
on
over
the
to run
console
that,
side.
right?
Yeah.
989 wasn't it called? 989
It was
Studios?
not, 989 was a brief experiment for about 18 months or 24 months. Where,
Yeah, I got yelled at in my
By the
very
way,
first
Kelly
Sony meeting
was-
by Kelly, which was great.
When I first came over to run Microsoft's game group, I met Kelly, and Kelly was a great mentor to me in the early days. He helped me a lot.
same with me. I
Same.
love
I
Kelly.
love Kelly Flock.
Yeah.
I thought he-
A lot of people had different views of Kelly.
Kelly was a polarizing figure.
He inspired two directions only, but he always told it like it is. And
Absolutely.
I gave him credit for that.
Do you remember the Tom Russo
I
Next
love
Gen
that.
article about Madden?
Liquid AI.
Liquid AI running down their leg.
running down my leg. Yeah, just to edit it slightly. Yeah, that's classic.
Don't have that,
That
but I
was-
do have the Console War Explodes issue of Next Gen, so I'll go look that up while you're talking.
Oh, the Kelly Flock one is epic. Legendary. I'll say it that way.
I'd like to reinforce or subscribe to what Ed was saying and what Chris was saying. Back in those days of the early PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and Xbox happening over here, and there was Dreamcast was there, and then it kind of faded out during that period. But you're right. Everybody knew everybody, which is why it was kind of weird that Ed and I hadn't met. Because for all of the bravura about my platform versus your platform, it was kind of an Ollie Frazier sort of thing, right? We both knew that the industry as itself would inflate if both of us got into it.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And made a thing out of it. Boxing has never been more popular than it was when Ollie Frazier was a thing, where
Wow.
everyone had a piece of that. It created all the Sturm and Drang around the thing, and I think they did a lot for the explosion of the video game business. Was this PlayStation, Xbox, is Team Green, Team Blue, yarg.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Peter Moore and I would go out for drinks. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, right, that was the thing, especially back in that era when GDC was in San Jose and everyone would meet at the Fairmont. And if you were there at 2 o'clock in the morning, you would see all of the competitors, everybody together, sharing drinks and talking. Yeah, of course, because the industry is so small and it is so creative. And yes, we work for our companies and we have to do all this stuff, but we all do it because we're passionate about making this art and putting the hands of millions and millions of people.
we were supporting platforms, but we just wanted to make games.
Shit,
Yeah.
agree.
I still remember at a GDC, Andre Vigneault, who was at Xbox, had an early Xbox 360 prototype he was carrying around and showing people, but people really hadn't seen it yet. And he and I were having, I don't know, breakfast or something, I forget, somewhere. And he was like, "You want to blow some people's minds?" He'd seen the Nintendo people on the other side of the room. So he gave me and I was working at Sony. So he gave me the Xbox prototype, and we walked over to the Nintendo people, and we're like, "Hey, how's it going? Have you seen this thing?" And they were like, "What the hell?" We were all friends. We all knew each other.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
I mean, Nintendo's North America office was right next to Microsoft. I mean, it's
Yeah.
there was literally one field between our original office and theirs. And actually, both companies were fighting over who could buy this, was going to buy the field. Like Nintendo owned it, but they wouldn't sell it or something. Microsoft really
We
wanted
always joked about meeting up with you guys. When I was at Nintendo, we're like, we got to meet the Xbox guys in the field and have like a squirt gun battle or something.
oh, that would have been amazing. That would have made.
Maybe like in World War II when they stopped fighting to like play football or whatever it was. on Christmas.
On Christmas Day, yeah, right.
Yeah, we could all play Halo.
So, Mark, you were at Nintendo and Sony. Did you ever work for Microsoft? Did you hit for the cycle?
No, somehow that's never worked. But
I didn't realize that. I would
I haven't retired yet, so
Okay. There you go. There's still a chance.
Yeah. I was Nintendo for 5 years, and I was Sony for 5 years.
Yeah. And when you were bringing up this story about Andre, I do remember Mark and I were both speakers on different panels at like the 4th PAX or something. I mean, this is when it was, everybody was in a single room, and Andre had that box had the 360 with him as well, and we all went out to lunch. He's like, "Check this out." I'm like, "What?" Yeah, it's just crazy. Oh, so good. We did have
He just walked around with it everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's what he was doing.
Called evangelism. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That is true. That is evangelism. Let me see. So there were a couple of questions that came in here. I think we may have talked about this. What is the most memorable moment from your gaming careers? What's the one moment that you remember most fondly? Okay, that's, impossible to choose one. But if there's another memory that you have about something that you either created, teams you worked on that exceeded your expectations, or were like, man, we got this thing so right, what would one of those things be?
For me, it would be Xbox launch night in New York City. It was just a little over a month after 9/11, after the attack, and we were in the city. Bill Gates was there at Times Square. There was Xbox up on all the screens, and we were doing a midnight launch at Toys R Us, and it was. Yeah, it was kind of bittersweet. It was like something we had worked super hard on, and it was finally happening. But it was also like the police wouldn't let us we wanted to have a midnight, Bill Gates going down the line and with all the people waiting to get in to buy the console. And the police didn't want too many people standing together at once, because this was really just like they were still very on edge after what had happened in the city. And, so it's just this weird kind of mix of having worked on everything so hard, but also what was going on in the country, and then the launch, and it was great. So I don't know. To me, that night, it just really sits out in my mind.
Yeah. And I would imagine too, the fact that you all brought just that moment, that window of joy and connectedness and togetherness in a city that, had undergone something that they had never really experienced before. Is just an extraordinary bookend to all the work that unfortunately, like we said, Dean's not here, but if you read his books and the telling of the history of Xbox, all of the work that you had to do, right, to get this to that starting line, it's really tremendous. Really
pretty crazy project schedule-wise.
Yeah. There's a whole web TV component. If you could go read Dean's book, he's got it all in there too. Yeah. How about you, Shawn?
Wow, nothing as profound as what Ed has. Mine is probably more just visceral in the moment. I would have to say, of the 25 years I was with PlayStation, probably the one thing that stands out still is that E3 2016 revealing God of War.
Oh yeah.
We did a lot of work to get that show together. The sports arena where we had been for the last 5 years before that was being torn down to be made into, I think, a soccer pitch. And so we moved into the Shrine, which anyone who's run an event knows that's like the hardest place to hold an event is the Shrine Auditorium. But the guys had the right idea. They said, let's not don't fight the Shrine. Don't try to make it modern. Don't try to light it up differently. Just embrace its 1928 sensibilities and have a proscenium and have a scrim and have that velvet curtain and get us 80-piece orchestra into the pit. And that was, walking out on stage after the reveal of God of War was probably it was the most impactful instant in my career.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
I love that franchise so much.
And if any of you get a chance to walk on stage to an orchestra accompaniment, take it, regardless of what it is. Just take it.
I love that. I got to work on that one.
I was just watching some Blues Brothers clips, so it could be one of many different orchestrated pieces, right? So I don't know if I could do a good Cab Calloway and Minnie the Moocher, right? But, that would be a good one. We did have another question that came in from here. They said, now that there's GDC and Gamescom, but as a young person entering the gaming field, it pains you'll never be able to go to E3. Do any of you miss that event, or is it the same as GDC?
Oh,
I'll leave that for all of the panelists here.
I will always miss E3.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing to understand about E3 is it was really designed. It was really connected to the physical goods aspect of the game business at the time. It was a time when we would meet with the buyers of big companies, and they would put in their orders for Christmas. And so the show was just kind of to impress the buyers with the products that we had, and then sort of behind the scenes, the salespeople were signing them up for things. So, yeah, it kind of shows how Christmas oriented the game business was back then, but also these long timelines that worked back from Christmas. And so we were, the challenge for us at that time was deciding whether a game would actually make Christmas or not, because if we got it wrong, there were actually big penalties that we would have to pay. And so in that sense, the event doesn't make sense anymore for why it was there and when it was there and that kind of thing. But it was still, one of the big moments of the year to go there. And I don't know, for me, it was just, I would just be locked in a room for days, just saying the same thing every half hour over and over. And over.
There were some wonderful moments like the promised lot, when gathering the developers did that.
Yeah.
And then the year that Rockstar showed off Bully by driving buses, and Lee had to sit on a bus all day, literally on the E3 floor showing off. It was the same year we launched 2K that they were showing Bully, and it was like 8 buses or something like that. That was the whole Rockstar thing.
So very different than GDC. I mean, GDC was when the developers get together and you really feel that sense of being part of something bigger than your team or even your company. You're part of this worldwide community of game developers. E3 was sort of the marketing people's turn, to show off.
Yeah.
And blow a few $1 million something. Big booth and maybe a party.
E3
and I'm nostalgic for
Sony parties.
Well, I was just going to say, the E3 was the game industry's response to CES. We're tacked on the back end of CES for a couple of years and realized on the back end was gaming and the adult video show, which was running strangely at the strange time.
Forgot about that.
And that all evolved out of an earlier show called Comdex, by the way.
Right. And so they broke it off. We created E3 in '95. And to Ed's point, that's exactly what it was. I remember, the first E3s, you go there and some guy comes up and says, "My name's Bob. I'm from Sears, and I buy Hot Wheels, Barbie, and video games. What should I buy?" Well, hey, Bob, come over here with me. Let me show you.
And Bob had that cigar, and he's like,
right. Okay. I'll take a dozen of those.
Can I put the Craftsman brand on that one there? We're going to.
But for journals as well, because remember, '95 is pre-internet. Yeah. So we were all struggling to get the September cover of EGM or Next Gen or something like that. Yeah. And so you're schmoozing with journos at E3 in June to try to get cover shots for September, October, November. But once the internet came around and once news was 24/7 instead of your monthly EGM delivery, that kind of faded in the background, and with salespeople, to Ed's point, back in '95, you could sell Christmas in June. But by 2005, you had to sell Christmas in January or February, right? By the time June came around, this arbitrary date, which we stuck into the calendar, it was too late to do trade business. Only the smallest developers, publishers could still sell in June, but the bigger ones had to all be sold in. And so when you'd have salespeople come to E3 in the early 2000s, it was just to check in on what they bought in February. Is it still on track? All right. Thank you very much. So the trade aspect and the media aspect fell away. And, Ted's good point. The idea of coming together as a group to look at digital content, there was kind of a disconnect in there. And I think that's why right now, largely, it's all consumer shows, whether it's Tokyo Game Show or Gamescom or PAX. It's not the trade getting together so much as, bring the fans together. And because they'll want to hear these stories 12 months out of the year. But for a trade show, it just kind of outlived its usefulness. That's why I pulled PlayStation out of it in 2019, because it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah. How about you, Mark, Susan?
I'm just nostalgic for when GDC was smaller, and I'm not saying that Mark is tall.
Down at the Queen Mary in Long Beach. Remember those days?
I remember that one.
Oh, right?
Yeah, I
Or
was
Santa
there.
Clara sitting by the pool. That's when I met Ed, was Santa
Yeah.
Clara,
At the
Mhm.
bar.
GDC,
Yeah.
28 years ago or whatever. But I bemoan it, but there's nothing we can do about it. The good thing is the industry's gotten massive. The sad
Right.
thing is it's lost that, that 2 o'clock in the morning and all the rivals sitting together and having drinks. It's just too big. And people are in like 10 different hotel lobbies now,
Yeah.
So I feel a bit old and nostalgic.
Well, that's what we're gonna. So we're gonna make Boss Rush at GDC into that regathering of,
Yeah, we gotta talk
that
about
small intimate
That's a
thing,
great
and
idea.
continue doing. And we have to talk about getting a room to do this at the
Room.
conference this year. Yeah, a room, one of the halls, and
I don't know, aim
Boss
bigger.
Rush
man.
Lounge.
yeah, maybe we know somebody that's
Rush.
working at GDC now that may be
We
able
might
to
know
hook us
somebody.
up. Like, what the hell?
Let's talk about it. Let's work it out.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
Boss Rush
You don't even-
alive.
That's
Right?
That's right. Ed, the night that we
Boss
did this
Rush, right.
live from the hotel, it was cacophonous.
We had a lot more fun than the people watching, I think.
I think so.
Get an Airbnb and build a studio out for a week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I love all
do,
of
do
it.
it on stage with a big crowd.
Yes. Okay, you all just give me too many great ideas. Now we have to do all of it. How about Mark? Before we move on, how about you? E3, big memory.
E3. Oh,
Aside from the Sony parties, which were insane, when you got the Crystal
So
Method to
many
play
memories.
there and
Yeah.
at GDC, which was amazing.
So
Yeah, the
Microsoft
GDC
Killers party. Do you remember? It was the Killers, wasn't it? Years ago. Am I crazy that Microsoft had the Killers? Wasn't
Oh,
Sony?
yeah.
could have been. No. We had Crystal Method.
You had Crystal Method and Foo
Microsoft had
Fighters
that.
and Macy Gray.
I don't
Mini Kiss.
remember, Susan. Honestly.
It's like I was in meetings. I didn't get to do all of it.
I have so many memories.
I did like 3 hours of sleep there. every day.
Always.
You don't have a lot of memories from E3 because of how little sleep you got generally. but-
2005, the Killers performed Mr. Brightside at the Xbox.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
That's right. That's right.
That was
I
a good-
spent about a week and a half pre E3, the year that the PS3 was shown for the first time. We took over the entire basement of the Bonaventure and used pipe and drape to make this, like, you remember, like, rabbit warren of like tiny little rooms, and all the developers who were going to show their games brought them in. And we tried to keep them away from each other, try to get the stuff up and running, and then get it to the show floor. And so I was there for, I think it was a week and a half before the show. It might have been 2 weeks.
Oh God,
It was
that was brutal.
It was,
the
but-
press conference was like 2.5 hours delayed. People standing in the sun in the parking lot because we couldn't get all the machines to boot at the same time.
Well, and the things on the show floor, if I remember correctly, the PS3 hardware was basically in refrigerators. Each of them.
Exactly, we were like walking through liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
we get the
But it
most
worked.
sleep.
It looked amazing. I thought it was awesome. I had worked so hard on PS3 stuff that that
Oh,
was just.
Christ.
Well, Mark was the one that had to
pinnacle.
stand and give the presentation how to actually use all those SPUs and explain how you could actually program
Yeah,
the cell processor.
Don't hunt
He was
on
the
the
only one
internet
who
for
understood
quotes
it.
from me about PS3. I think my big PS3 quote on the internet is PS3 will be easier to program for than PS2. I was like, "Oop, sorry."
When
That didn't
PS2
age
launched,
well.
it was like
Yeah.
it's Saturn squared, right? In terms of complexity. So,
Good days.
But,
Good
but
days.
PS2 launched on the back of a fireworks simulator.
it did. It did. Fantavision.
Fantavision.
That's it.
God.
Fantavision. That's right.
Totally forgot about
Yeah,
Fantavision. That
that's
was
right.
amazing.
That was a launch title. That was a launch title.
That's right. But SSX Tricky, still one of the best games ever done for that
great.
machine. So good. And I think it's the best of the entire SSX line. Like, never eclipsed, Yes, Sun had a massive present in that I was there and I got to expense my travel, which was great. But what I loved about the Sony booth specifically was I had to bring an executive from the company to understand why I was so adamant that we continue to pursue all of this. And I walked her into the show floor and she literally said, "Holy shit, like what the fuck is this? And I was just like, yes, you all did the job. You all did the job.
Impressive.
Thank you. I was like, yes. Yes, that's right. And then, of course, there was one E3 where I discovered one of my favorite oddities, which was Ribbit King Plus. I think it was with Mark
Ribbit
and I were walking the show floor, and Scott Hawkins, I think, popped it with us too. And that is the craziest game. And
I assume that was in Kentia Hall.
No. It's Princeton, but Kentia Hall.
Kentia Hall.
We just need a conference just with that.
Me too.
Just with Kentia Hall style insanity.
Big cheese, grilled cheese truck. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, let me get to a couple of quotes or comments here that I'm way behind on. Matt Anderson said, when I first joined PlayStation, I remember getting so many odd looks when I told my coworkers I played a lot of 360 games. Richard Brown, our good friend who had joined us there a couple of weeks ago. Hey, Richard. Said, he said, hey, Kelly killed our Psygnosis CD-ROM version of Star Wars, but I also loved working with him at THQ. And John Middleton, another friend, loved Kelly. Let's see, who do we have down here? Bill Young over at Twitch, E3, the event we love to act like we dreaded. Yes.
Well said.
Yes, exactly. I got to go hang in and play all these video games with all my friends.
By day four, we did hate it.
Yeah, by day four.
And I lost my voice by day 2 usually. So.
Yes, but then it was always just trying to get through the show floor to get to the meetings. You're like, everything will. It's now going to start stacking up. It's 5 minutes late, and then by the end of the week, it's like, can we bump an hour because everything is just out of control.
Yeah.
Leo here said, I loved it and miss it, a gaming celebration. And let's see. Yeah, just a bunch of awesome comments here. Shannon Loftus for bands. Yay, Shannon. Who is also have to come on. So I'm already committing her without even asking her yet, but she needs to come on. Blink 182 when they weren't cool.
Oh.
Yes. Played. Yes. Matt Anderson also said, just explain it with ducks in a bathtub.
Oh, ducks in a bathtub.
That's right. And if you look above Mark, that's a peak. Oh, if you look above Mark, there may be a duck sitting somewhere up there because Mark always has a rubber ducky around there, right?
Somewhere, or Snorlaxes or something.
Just amazing.
Shades of Phil Harrison.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, shades of Phil. Exactly.
There was one question that came in. I don't even know if we're going to get to news. I think we're just having so much fun reminiscing
we can
about
just talk
this.
about Silk Song.
Yeah, we are going to talk about Silk Song here. But there was one that came in. It said the Kinect was a super fun control that was hacked into by the artistic and creative tech community for skeleton and depth tracking to use in museums, other places. Ed, what are your thoughts about Kinect and looking back at it? Sean, Mark, Susan, Chris, do you have comments? Let's tackle that one quickly, and then let's jump over and talk about a couple of these big news beats for the week.
First of all, Kinect was after I left, but that's okay. I feel like about Kinect, like I feel about a lot of new technologies that come into games, is like there must be something cool to do with this, and then sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't. It's like you have to take the new technology and you have to give it to the great game designers and see what they do with it. And in Kinect, for example, dancing games became a thing that wasn't really a thing before. So it created some niches. I don't think it ever became, I think about talking to Chris Taylor, and Chris is like, yeah, people just want to sit still and just move their thumbs. They don't want to. I was like, he's not wrong. Yeah, right. So
I'm actually talking to Chris a little later today, so I'll point to this part of the live stream.
Say hi to Chris.
I will. Love Chris.
Yeah.
I guess the thing I'd say about it is that we'd already done that experiment with iToy on PlayStation 2.
Yeah, with Rick Marks, right?
Yeah. So we did the motion
research
gaming and the stuff that went around that. iToy Sports and iToy Jump or whatever it was. And but with Kinect specifically, I just thought at the time it adds $100 to the SRP. That's good for me.
Well said.
Smart.
That's hilarious.
Mark, how about you, buddy?
I think what Ed said about all of the new technologies is very insightful. The one that sticks with me from Kinect, and I love anything that expands the palette for designers, but also gets people up and moving. And I keep thinking about the Sesame Street Kinect game, which was not a super popular thing.
Yeah, that was Tim Schafer. that did that, right?
Did he do that?
Yeah, that was
I don't
Tim.
know who
right.
did that.
That's right.
But
It
just,
was
uh,
Schaefer.
Yeah.
The idea of being able to interact, having kids interact with characters like that in an interface that was more natural to kids, I thought was amazing. Admittedly, the device wasn't really targeted at kids that age, but more of that. I mean, I get excited about
Which
that.
we're seeing now with like the Neo Rex, the Cube, and there's all these other devices that have come out that are continuing to build
Nex,
on that. Yeah. Oh, the Nex. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty neat. Susan, how about you?
I'd echo what Ed and Mark say. I do remember quite vividly having one when we lived in Los Angeles, and my kid was like 5 at the time, and it drove me up the wall because he kept moving out of camera, and I kept having to recalibrate. And so that was a problem with it for kids, and maybe why it didn't appeal to kids was I wanted to pull my hair out because I'm like, just stop moving, just stay here.
He was beta testing.
Stop moving.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's
Not good advice for kids. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm having raised 2 boys.
Yeah.
I love new technology. I'm like the biggest fan or offender of whatever of embracing new tech, and unless you find cool content to go with it, the system seller, it never seems to have. Because AR, is the same thing. It was kind of a precursor to AR. And
Right.
I love AR more than almost any technology, but it's not working because no one's investing in creative. No one's paying to make games, and so AR is never going to work unless someone comes up with a reason you have to have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think ultimately the answer is a camera, because I think what we're going to find over time, in order to really get this industry to blow out to being more than 300 million people or whatever the number is that are gaming, the controller is a barrier. If you're a non-gamer and you see this piece of plastic, someone hands it to you and says, "Hey, want to play my game?" They're going, "Whoa, which end is up?"
Too many buttons.
And why does this one say A, B, X, Y, and this one says triangle, circle,
square.
right? I mean, that is the final frontier, I think, for gaming, is how do we make a person's ability to interact with gaming more natural? And maybe it's a camera without actually putting your face on the screen, which was always kind of creepy, but just to interpret your motion, your movement.
Yeah.
There's an answer there somewhere.
Yeah. And even more so with the X and circle buttons in Asia Pac, those are reversed, right? So here they do the exact opposite.
That drives me crazy. Trying to play the Switch 2 this week. And I'm like,
can we not talk about the big first-gen Xbox controller?
Oh, the Duke?
The Duke.
I threw my shoulder out playing Halo. How did I
got
do
big
that?
hands. I'm like,
Well, we never had we didn't have a Kinect at home, but we had an iToy, and it was the window washing game.
Oh yeah.
And my kids just never would run up to this giant TV because it wasn't a flat panel yet, right? These are rear projection, this beautiful like Mitsubishi Diamond Series, and just slamming the plastic on the front. I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
But then the other side of me is like, yes, that's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's awesome. Oh my goodness. I know, look, next time we do this and we get all these amazing people together, we need like 3 hours of your time, right? But we're already at almost 15 minutes past the hour. We got another about 15, 20 minutes left here.
You see, it's a great idea, Chris, and we can transition it in every couple hours. Someone else comes in.
Yeah.
We'll have a live stream through GDC.
Have a hot mic.
Yeah, exactly. And if we're serious, maybe tie it to a charity event or something like that.
I was
Get
just
people
going to say
coming
the
in.
same
Let's
thing.
go.
We could tie it to Child's Play or something like that.
Yeah,
IGA
100%.
Foundation.
Yeah. Okay, if you're all listening, let's go and get your big ass brains together. Let's go get it done. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about news. And also, I just want to make sure that as we go ahead and bring our guests over here. So this is Ed's company, One Up Ventures, where they fund independent game development, correct?
Yep.
And there we are. So there's Ed and Kelly, Chris, and
I didn't
Emily.
mention Chris before. He's our fund administrator. He keeps us legal.
Yeah, awesome. So definitely go ahead and check out the portfolio that they have and the games that they have funded. And again, it's game development, not necessarily tech development, but it's game development. Right?
Only video game development companies.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yes, definitely go ahead and
which
check
is a
them out.
rarity right now in in the VC world, in the game industry. One Up is like one of three, maybe,
Yeah.
to be kind,
Yeah.
of funds that actually want to look at games and not tech.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
Yep. Look northward. Look northward. Our friend Alex
Alex
Seropian.
Seropian.
Yeah, who's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really awesome. And has
Founder
a
of,
wonderful podcast too, The Fourth Curtain. Right. So definitely check them at Jam and T Studios. Again, awesome company that may or may not run on AWS. Yes, fantastic. Anyway, wonderful. All right, let's talk about the big news. Like this one, Hollow Knight, Silk Song. Have you all played this yet?
I played a little yesterday.
Yeah. I have not had the chance to. I will be downloading it, but surpasses 500,000 concurrent players.
I keep losing my rosary beads. So
Oh, yeah?
for anyone who knows what the game is, who's played, they'll know what that means. Yeah.
All right, I gotta get at it. It
Interesting.
crashed. It crashed Steam and it crashed the Nintendo eStore.
It did. Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I woke up and
That's
tried to buy it,
something.
and I couldn't buy it for a few hours.
Yeah. Today,
Damn
September.
hilarious.
Yeah, this comes from GamesIndustry.biz. Today, September 4th, release of Hollow Knight Silk Song crashed global stores right across Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam's digital platforms.
Oh,
There you go. That's a winner.
Crashed them all.
yay! We need what's the
Such
nickname
a
for
great
that? We
game
need a
industry
nickname.
story. It's like three
Crashed.
dudes in Australia decide.
Trick.
That took 7 years. And
Three dudes in Australia work on it for 7 years. Decide, $20 is enough.
Yes.
We don't need more money. You know.
yes.
And they launch this thing, and it crushes everything.
Yeah,
So
and
great.
in one of the interviews, they asked why it took so long. They said, we were just having fun, like making it. And so
We decided to
we
show
just
up
took
on-
our time making
Yeah.
it, right? But this goes back to something that we've been talking about. I mean, since even before we started doing Boss Rush, like a year and a half ago, it's AAA games. Yes, of course, let's go continue building those if we can continue to get the funding and put those things out there. But it's going to be the shorter form, smaller games that are going to come in and basically pull that mid-tier right back up again, right? Where it's kind of been hollowed out. And this is exactly what exactly to the point of that. You can do this, but you can't predict the virality of this either, right? Anticipation for this was really pent up and wonderful, and the engagement they had with the community really kind of drove that. But you can't always predict the virality of it. And what made me think about that was, have you all watched K-pop Demon Hunters yet?
I haven't.
Okay, we watched
saving
it.
it.
We watched
I
it
know.
yesterday, right? And then I read an article with the CEO from, I guess, Sony Pictures, something that said, how do you feel about it now that you gave all the rights and everything to Netflix?
Oh, right.
And it turned out this is the #1 most viewed anything on Netflix's platform, right? You can't necessarily predict the virality of it, but you have to keep an open mind as to where it can possibly go, right? And it's a lot harder to say yes. You're right when you're in the situation. Easier to say no. I'm not. I'll go ahead and take it. But then you scramble to get it back, right? So again, you don't need to be a massive company to go ahead and have a massive hit, right? Anymore. So congratulations. to
Our
Team
marketing forecasts were always wrong, because our marketing forecasts are always like, well, I guess I'll forecast about what the last game did. I don't want to be, but not the hit game, but maybe a little bit less than the hit game. And it's like, no, that's not how games work. Either they fail or they exceed your wildest expectation. I remember like World of Warcraft coming out. I was like, no, there's 300,000 MMO players in the world. That's it.
Right.
They go to 10 million in 12 months.
Right.
Add 2,000 people to their company in 12 months.
Well, you remember when they launched, they had to stop selling the game for about a month and a half so they could get enough infrastructure put in place to handle people
There
that
was
wanted
no AWS then. Yeah.
No, there was not. No.
They were
But there
buying
was
servers.
Sun then, so it wasn't too bad.
This is why I think our industry is where it is right now, is that nobody has any confidence in their gut instincts anymore. You can't predict what success is going to look like. And it's been a problem for years now. Like, look how little has been signed, like in the last 15 years by some of the big publishers. They're just continuing to crank out sequels because, original IP is scary. The whole point of it being original is there's nothing to compare it to.
That's right.
So,
But that's where the future of those companies come from.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. It's where the magic is. And, and I won't say who, but one of the major publishers, someone at that major publisher said to me very recently, we don't want to sign anything that's under 100 million budget. We need to find the next big AAA hit. It's like, my God, good luck to you.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
And that's the failure in the theory, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because everyone's come up, kind of push the entry price of creating games to 100, 150, 200 million dollars. And I won't go on with this because this is my stump speech anyway. But when you get that high, then creativity risk tolerance goes to zero.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to
You
have
mean just make hits doesn't work as a strategy?
Oh.
Well, here's the
It depends what the price of entry is. You talk about that Hollow Knight, what the virality is. Make more $10 million bets.
Yes.
Yes.
$200 million bet.
Look at Expedition 33. I mean, this is
Yeah,
to me,
that's
this is the game of the year. I mean, this is an incredible piece of work in every way. I mean, it's artistically incredible. It's, gameplay wise, actually, there's a huge amount of game there. I mean, there's at least 100 hours of play there. It's, and yeah, small team in France.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, the thing that I've also experienced in the M&A and kind of corp dev world was if you find a property that's going to be valued at $100 million, you're not the only one that found it, right? So you're all running towards that same thing, right? And everything's 5 years and $1 billion. No, it's not. Right. And if you want to go ahead and catch lightning in a bottle, you don't put 3 big bottles outside in your backyard. You put, 1,000 empty bottles in 100 fields. And the 2 or 3 that pop carries the weight of everything else. That's how you go ahead and move forward. And the last pro tip
Which is what we're trying to do at OneUp, by the way.
Yeah. Well, this is what I love about your approach, Ed, to investing in this, and really it is the interest in the developer and understanding what the property is and what their intent is and everything else. The pro tip that I have is stop hiring consultants at that top side of it that have never built any of the stuff or don't know what they're looking at to, the comment before of, well, it did this much, so I guess we'll just start with that as the baseline, right, Shawn? It's like, no, that's not the way you should be looking at this. So if you're going to bring people in that have built this stuff and listen, not that they have all the right answers, but listen to what they have to say, right?
This is why the future of this stuff is only going to be from people who know how to make games. There's a very good reason why Ed is one of the few funds who's actually investing in content, because he's made games. And that's not true about most VCs who've stormed into our space over the last 5 years. And then on the publisher side, most of these people don't play games. There are some quite famous CEOs of game publishers right now saying we don't play games. And so none of that's going to come from there. So it's going to be folks like Ed. And my soapbox has been getting people to angel invest. Some of us have done well, have sold companies. We need to start giving back to our industry too. We're the ones who actually know what good games are, and we're probably going to get it wrong most of the time too. But we have a better chance of getting it right than the people who've never touched a game or made a game before.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Mark, what other big news do we got?
Well, I can tell you what I thought was interesting, which was Roblox signing up with iArc for the rating system for Roblox titles, which is
Pat
great.
must be very happy.
Yeah, Pat Vance must be very happy. I love this. I'm guessing that there was maybe work on both sides to make the automated flow for getting an iArc rating smoother for Roblox developers. But yay, now we have a unified, a little bit more unified rating system. So that's good for everybody, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, more information to allow families to make the best choice, understand how they're engaging the content is always a good thing, right? And expose that. And the good thing is we, as an industry, have been able to regulate that for ourselves. Where we dodged that one, that was lots of history there. God, I need 8 more hours.
Night Trap.
Night Trap, and we would never put that on our platform until next year, and then we'll just go ahead and do it. And there was no blood code the Mortal Kombat one was the best. Oh no, that's Sweat. It's not blood, it's sweat. That's why it's
Not
gray.
red. Yeah, it has to be green or gray. No red blood on a Nintendo platform.
Right.
Definitely not in Germany. But
Right. I forget.
all the blood is green in Germany. But wasn't there during that time they created the ESA to, to put a shell around ESRB, to give it and get the government out of it. Who was that? Do you remember the name of that, like Louisiana or Florida lawyer that kept suing the game industry?
Jack
Yeah, it's a Florida lawyer.
Jack Thompson.
Right.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
Jack
yeah.
Thompson.
So when Hal Halpin was running the consumer, what was it? The consumer. It was like the consumer
IDSA?
side. Yeah, the IDSA. And Jack Thompson was constantly going after poor Hal. And I have a whole treasure trove of archived materials about that whole period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it all leads to the Supreme Court deciding that
Yeah.
video games are actually an artwork, and which is actually a very, very close vote. And Alito was the deciding vote,
Yeah.
which is kind of wild.
Yeah. What I found was really interesting is I believe that Schwarzenegger was the one that had signed on to say that, video games are too violent and we need to regulate these things. It's like, you're the Terminator.
Right.
What? Yeah. So that was an oddity, but yeah. So no, that is
What other
great.
news? Hey, Susan, did you see any news you want to call out?
I saw that EA is throwing the toys out of the pram about basketball. That I just came up. Lee pointed me this today on Kotaku. Sounds like EA was going to release a college basketball game for the first time in many, many years, and 2K decided to screw them over by announcing a DLC college basketball game. So now EA has told all the universities that they're canceling their game altogether, that they don't want to come after the DLC. So I thought that was really amusing. I mean,
Oh, that's an interesting article.
considering years ago how they cut the legs out from under us at 2K with NFL, I just thought that was.
I'm having trouble
Yeah.
getting past the toys out of the pram comment.
I know, me too. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so British.
you've totally been
Oh.
converted to.
I am British now.
No. She's British tan now. That's right.
Right. Tan-ish.
Tan-ish,
That's
exactly.
right.
Tan-ish.
Susan-ish and Mark.
British. Then it's just become a thing that I said. Yes. Okay. I guess it is.
Toys out of the
All right.
pram.
I'll own that.
I see you, Susan. I see you.
That's right. Yeah, I don't
That
know.
was one I said.
My big news this week was that we were going to get these two gentlemen together and meet. So I am so happy about this. But I do have one story that popped up this morning that I thought was pretty interesting. I haven't delved too much into it yet, but Playlist aims to be the Goodreads for games, which I thought was a pretty interesting take. If you use Goodreads, right, and get recommendations for books that are kind of built out of the community. Founder Emma Nicole discusses how the community-first platform put an emphasis on inclusivity. So I thought this was definitely something worth surfacing, and I want to do a little more research into their platform and everything. But yeah, it's really cool. Really cool that
Someone's got to figure out discovery. It's like one of the biggest problems in the industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, while Playlist is for everyone, there is a specific focus on keeping marginalized gamers safe as well as fostering a community-first platform. I think that's just, again, another wonderful way to go ahead and bring more people into the fold, more people to play, right, and all that stuff. So yeah, definitely go ahead and check it out. Like I said, it was something that just popped past my field of view today, but I wanted to call out because I think it's pretty interesting, and we'll do some more research into that. So we're at the bottom of the hour already, which drives me nuts. So before we get out of here, let's talk about what we're playing aside from Silk Song, or at least we're trying to go ahead and play it. Shawn, Ed, tell us what are you guys up to? Playing, checking out?
Now that I've finally put down Expedition 33, I'm trying to play a little Bonanza, but it's kind of a big difference. it's hard to play the one against the other, but yeah. And also Pokemon trading card Pocket Pokemon trading card game. A lot of good fun there.
Yeah. You know, Ed, I don't know if you've experienced this yet with the new Donkey Kong game, but as somebody who is I'm not a completionist, but it just bothers me if I have an ability to do something and I'm not exhausting it. And because you can destroy the geometry, right? In levels, it's like, okay, this little piece is hitched against another piece, and I can't quite get in there to
destroy
hit
that
it.
last little piece.
And there's going to be something hidden there, damn it, I know it.
Part of the magic, I
That's
guess.
right. Those are great picks. How about you, Shawn?
Okay, well, I'm still playing that game that came out from Void, Ready or Not, kind of a
Okay.
police SWAT-based squad shooter.
Mhm.
It's gives me, have some old SOCOM vibes when you play it, and you want to say, Boomer
SOCOM.
deploy frag. Remember that? So,
Oof.
so
Man.
that's good fun. But I'm trying to clear my books now because Ghost of Yotei from Sucker Punch is coming out very, very soon.
Woo!
And
Yeah.
I want to give myself some space to go back into that world. I think the guys have crushed it again. So
Fantastic Seattle-based team, ex-Microsoft, actually.
Yeah.
there you go.
So good.
See, everyone can take a win from this.
That's
right.
true. Wow.
Awesome. Susan, how about you?
Now that I'm back from the trip, reinstalled, or I should say patched, the last Epoch, which Lee and I have been playing as our sort of co-op ARPG thing. And I think we're going to finally get back into the idea of playing Night Rain now that you can play 2-player. Lee has not been enjoying Night Rain as much as he thought he was going to. So we're going to try and get into that.
If he's got a problem, you just send him our way. Okay.
He loves hard games. Like, he played the hell out of Elden Ring. He got me to play it finally, and he's just found it so unbearably hard because you're in a pickup group, and you have like 2 seconds to scramble, and if one person sucks, it's like, I guess, playing like matchups in Overwatch and stuff. But so we're hoping to finally get into it as a 2-player thing.
Awesome. Mr. Delora, how about you, buddy?
Okay.
I'm still in a weird world here, so I'm not doing a ton of gaming. I think the extent of my gaming this week was getting into my quest and playing some walkabout mini golf with somebody on the other side of the country, which is what I do for meetings sometimes because it's amazing. If you haven't played walkabout mini golf in a VR headset, it is really something.
It really is. I mean, it is really the closer you can get to playing mini golf without actually being out there. And it really does. If you have any sort of queasiness about heights or things like that when you're playing like the courses in outer space, you go to reach out for a railing that isn't there. I mean, it's really that good.
Good.
Mark and I were playing. He was one that first introduced me to it. And we were playing one, and I moved to the other side of the hole there, and he hit his ball, and I felt myself going, like, kind of ducking out of the way, and I was like, okay, no, this is a Wallace and Gromit golf course.
Yeah, the Wallace and Gromit course. There's a mist course. It's amazing. It's a great place to go if you're gonna do like a half-hour call with somebody and they have a headset. Just do it and walk about mini golf and just talk while you play. It's perfect.
It is awesome. All right, this weekend we need to go ahead and play. As for me, no, I just more Donkey Kong looking to go ahead and pick up Silk Song later today. Now that the servers are all back up and running, we can get everything together, which is awesome. And that's about it. Some 3D printing stuff. Doing some. I've got this beautiful, like, 3-foot by 2-foot Star Destroyer that I 3D printed.
Oh, nice.
Pieces.
I did one of the moons. Have you seen the moon lamp that this guy made?
Oh, I saw. Yeah. I saw
it's so worth printing.
Is it awesome?
Yeah, really worth printing.
Yeah, and Ed,
and then because I'm a geek, I hooked it up to the home automation system, so that when the moon comes up, it turns on. So,
Oh wow!
Oh, wow.
So I always know when the moon is up.
That's perfect.
But do you have to keep that though in your own space there, or is that actually in the house?
My wife hasn't figured out why that lamp is a little screwy yet.
This thing is out of time with every other lamp that you have automated in this house. What's going on there?
I'll work on that. Yeah, I'll work on that.
That's right. Awesome.
Our 3D printer's broken. We need to get a new one. So
I'm going to put in a word for this Centuri Carbon from Elegoo, which is a
he's been looking at the
$300 bamboo clone. I have printed so much from this thing, and it's
Really?
amazing. Yeah,
The new thing, right? It's
Oh,
black.
Core XY.
black,
Yeah.
$300.
Crazy how
Yeah.
cheap they've got.
It's an amazing machine. It just prints. It just works. I've tried all sorts of different filament, all sorts of things. It just works. It's awesome.
Well, Ed,
It seemed like the only reason to get the
300
bamboo
bucks.
one was that you can add on like multicolor, and they made it really easy.
So they're
but it also
about to
looks-
come out with a multicolor for this too.
He was hoping.
It's
Okay.
it's Q3. It's coming out in Q3, which they're running out of Q3.
This is really
so-
good intel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ed, you'll appreciate. So I have a P1S, and decided not to use their servers. So I set up a Docker container on my NAS, and right.
Nice.
It's geeky here. All right.
Exactly. And so now I've got everything routed through in some open source software as well. So now I can do everything remotely as well. I can go ahead and manage all of those pieces and actually get really good performance out of the stock camera. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's the
It's turned
coolest-
into a 3D printing rush.
yeah, but exactly.
Yeah.
The goal. No, but I mean, hey, you want to go ahead and do some nice, little signs
Oh,
for your
yeah.
office. There we go, little
Nice.
multicolor Atari prints and things like that. All that kind of
Nice.
crazy stuff. All right, but that's going to wrap it. We are already 6 minutes past. I want to thank our special guest, Shawn, Ed. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for joining us
guys.
today.
Nice to
Thank
see
you,
you.
Susan, for reaching out to Ed live while we were.
Nice to meet
in
you,
the
Shawn.
live stream.
Nice to meet you,
I'm
Ed.
so happy that
I'm
you-
glad I can help make that happen.
Yes, you did. You did. And so we'll have to have.
Next time, let's do this in 3D.
Oh yeah.
definitely.
Oh,
Don't
okay,
tempt me.
listen. Now I've got 5 things that I'm going to need to plan for
Got a big
GDC and other
plan
events.
coming together.
So we're going to do that. But as always, thank you to Susan and Mark for being here as well.
Thank
Thanks
you, Chris.
everybody for joining. Go ahead and repost this to your walls. Go ahead and tell people how to make sure you join us every Friday, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, right here on LinkedIn, Twitch, or YouTube. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day and an awesome weekend. We'll see you next week.
Play
On
lots of
Busters.
games.
Bye.
Safe travels, Ed.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.